Living in fear has made society incredibly fake. People are not being their authentic selves. And I think the reason there's a mental health crisis going on right now is because people are playing characters in their life. And not everyone is, but you know, I think about my entire life and I feel like I was never really who I wanted to be. And my life has been doing things to fit in or so that other people would like me. And throughout my life, I've kind of thought that eventually I'd get to a place where people like me and I'll feel good about myself and maybe I got to hit this achievement and then I'll be enough. And what I've found is it's just unbelievably empty because I'm not actively doing the things that make me feel good. I'm making decisions to make other people like me or to fit in. And that doesn't make me feel good. What would make me feel good is to make the decision I want. But it's scary sometimes. We all have different ideas in our head of who we want to be. And I'd be lying if I said I'm exactly who I want to be right now. Because there's things I want to accomplish. There's things about me that I know are bad and I want to change. And I've been scared to face those things throughout my entire life. I don't know why, but whenever I'm hanging out with a group of friends, um, I like to utilize the Irish goodbye. Normally, with my really close friends, I don't have to, but I'm at a party with people I somewhat know or whatever. I don't like to say goodbye to them because I just think it's weird, even though it's really not. And the person I'd want to be is the person that can say bye to people. But instead, I just leave because it's easier because I'm scared to say goodbye, even though it's such an easy thing. And you might think I'm an idiot for being scared of that, but I'm sure there's something in everyone's life that they're scared of for no reason at all. I've realized that there's been a lot of things like that in my life. And, as my life has gone on, I've there's been a pattern of shying away from these things I'm scared of. And some of them I do, but there's plenty of them that are just like out of my comfort zone that I'm not actively making progress towards. And you develop a pattern in your mind that you can never do these things because that's how it's been your entire life. I have a lot of friends who are, they're afraid to um, approach women. Like they have, no skills when it comes to talking to women. They're scared of it because they've been like that their whole life. And then you develop that you're scared of doing that. Because you get rejected, and at the end of the day, none of us want to be rejected, right? That's like the biggest fear of all is that people won't like you for who you are. Because I think at the end of the day, as human beings, we just want to be loved. And most of us don't necessarily love ourselves, so we look for it in other people, which is certainly easier than loving yourself. But when you live life avoiding rejection, it's just not good. It's like playing, basketball, and every time you shoot the ball, you're just trying to not miss, or you're trying to not airball. So maybe you just like chuck it at the rim and hit the rim, and you're like, hey, at least I had an airball because that'd be embarrassing. But in reality, if that thing doesn't go in the net, it doesn't matter if you hit back rim or you send it in the bleachers. But being afraid of rejection is something that I've battled throughout my entire life. I'm not fully over it at this point in my life. I've made significant strides. There's been things I haven't told people out of fear how that would change their perception of me. I went through a time in my life, and I can talk about this now. It's a sign of progress for me, where I was deeply depressed. I've also had very bad anxiety my whole life, and the thought of telling that to somebody, let alone putting out a YouTube video on it, would have made me like go into a whole panic attack, about a year ago. But now I realize that's just a part of me. That's who I am. I'm the guy who's always had doubt in himself. I tell people about this now, um, and it doesn't actually make them think less of me. Maybe some people, but people I'm truly close with and care about, they're supportive of it. They're happy I'm willing to tell them this, yet I hid it from so long out of fear that I'd be ostracized for it. And I've realized these things I've wanted to achieve don't make me more confident in myself in the aspect I thought it would. It definitely helps with my confidence that's grown throughout my life as I've accomplished more things. But I would just achieve these things one after another, and they weren't like, it's not like I'm changing the world, but I was pretty good in some sports in high school, and I got some awards for that, which I thought would alter, who I am as a person. What I just found as I hit these things, it just was unbelievably empty when you hit them, and there wouldn't be a dramatic shift. And those are the things like you see in the movies that change people. That's not really where change comes from. And I felt in order to achieve those, I wasn't being me. Talk about when I was depressed. Jim Carrey says this, and he said depression is deep rest. Your body needs deep rest from playing a character. And that really resonated with me because I felt throughout my life I've been playing a character. And some time ago, my body just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't wake up every morning and pretend to be something I'm not. I just couldn't do it. And I'm still not exactly who I want to be, but I'm on the path of getting there, and I'm actually able to be more of myself now than I've ever been before, and it feels really good. And, that may come with criticism or people calling me weird, which is okay. I mean, you think about being weird, it's not like I want to be a complete weirdo, but being weird is being different. It's abnormal. And I think that it really tells you something about what's wrong with society when not being normal is bad. Because why would you want to be normal? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you look at who people idolize, actors, these movie stars, professional athletes, like these people are not normal. And it's okay for them, but if an ordinary person isn't normal, that's supposedly bad because we're supposed to blend into the masses, which I always thought was an extremely interesting concept. The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and they said I was opinionated, and they almost said it in a negative connotation. And I was just like, yes, I am opinionated. I'm a human being. I do have opinions, and it's not like I was talking politics and saying some crazy out there things, but I was just like telling people how I felt about certain things. And they thought that was weird. And I think what makes us unique as human beings is our perception on things, our opinions. And I didn't express my opinions in a way that I'm 100% right, but I just put it out there. And I like to hear people's feedbacks and their lens on it, because everyone has a different perspective. And I just thought that was really weird that opinionated was bad. And I wish more people express their opinion, not in a tyrannical way, but in a way of just telling people what they saw and then hearing from others like, hey, this is what I see. I think that's an incredibly healthy thing to do. And I think if you don't have your opinions, well, then you don't really know what you stand for. And I think one thing that's led to society being so incredibly fake is a lot of social media. and seeing things that aren't real, right? And trying to replicate those things in real life. Like you see the lifestyle these people live, and what you don't realize is most of them are just miserable because getting a bunch of likes and comments on social media doesn't actually make you feel good. It's the same thing as everyday normal life. People can really like you, but if you don't like yourself, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is getting love from yourself and just feeling like you're enough. Because at the end of the day, when you're laying down in bed at the end of the night, it doesn't matter if you have a significant other or not, they're not in your brain. It's just you at the end of the day. And if they feel like they really love you, that's great. But if you're sitting there and you don't feel it, it doesn't really matter because your feelings are all you feel. And it sounds incredibly simple, but then why are we as a society not chasing after self-love? And so I realized, like, how do I actually feel good? I started on the path, and I'm not some self-help guru who has life figured out, or you buy my course and you feel good or anything like that. But I really just wanted to feel good about myself, and not in some fake way. I just wanted to feel as though I am enough with who I am. And it didn't happen from watching some alpha male videos on YouTube. Like you can do all that stuff, more power to you, but it came from, actually just talking with someone and telling them how I felt and getting their opinion and having a real conversation with people. Like I think about all the real conversations I've had in my life. I'm lucky enough that I have a really good group of friends. And I have people I really care about, and I know they really care about me. Not everyone has that. But I even think about that and how many like real conversations we had, and it's extremely limited. And to me, that kind of sucks. I'm not the kind of guy that has to, you know, go heart to heart all the time. But you'd be surprised how many people that could really use something like that. You know, like when someone asks you how you're doing, you're probably going to tell them fine or good. And it's just default. Like you don't even think that's what you say. But wouldn't it be nice if you had a friend and they could ask you how you're doing and you could really tell them and you say, hey man, I'm struggling. And maybe they want to tell you why they're struggling. And maybe they want your opinion or advice on something. Or maybe they just want to tell you about it. Because for whatever fucking reason, I don't know why I'm not a psychologist. It just feels good to get it off your chest. There's a reason I'm ranting on YouTube right here, right? Um, and it's not that I don't have anyone that'll listen to me. It's just that I think I think it's fun, and I don't know. Maybe this will find someone, and maybe it'll help them out. Maybe it won't. But I wanted to do it. I don't know why I've been up at night thinking I should do this because I like YouTube. I think it's cool. Biggest thing I've struggled with and I feel the most fear about is just being vulnerable as a human being. And I think that it's not normal, and it probably never has been normal to be vulnerable. And just where I've grown up, it's been a sign of weakness for most people. Like they get those things confused. Like if I tell someone I'm struggling and I'm crying on their shoulder, because I had a really bad day, you could call me weak. But in reality, I'm just being vulnerable. I'm telling you what happened to me. If I tell someone that I've been struggling with anxiety and I have low self-worth, it's like you might see that as weakness, but it's being vulnerable. So I think that's just a common thing people get mixed up, and I think a lot of people want to be vulnerable, but they're too scared to be because you don't know what people will think. And I think it's almost like a set of dominoes. One person can be vulnerable, I think it can really open it up. But you just got to be that brave person. And that's hard to do. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's a lot of people I know that I think they're struggling. I don't know for sure, But I think they drop subtle hints, from time to time because they don't really want to open up about it because it's hard. I didn't do it. I found help from a professional instead of my friends, which I think was a really good idea by me, but they're struggling and everyone's just scared to say it. I think if one person said it, everyone would resonate with them. So I think a lot of people are unhappy right now, and we're kind of just going through motions. There's plenty of things to be upset about. We're not really talking about it. We're bottling it up. It's like you hold all this in. It's like your head might pop off one of these days. I had this fear, and it was just completely all in my head. I saw the worst possible outcome, 10 miles down the road. I never gave myself a shot to have something good happen because I was just projecting this terrible thing before it even had a chance. And I now realize that, number one, that's extremely unhealthy, but number two, if you think something bad will happen, there's a greater chance it will happen. So now when I have opportunities, I like to see the best result coming. And that doesn't always happen. Bad things still happen. I'm by no means perfect, but I found it works out better when I have good outlook. And I think opening up with people allows you to hit another level in your friendship. Because I think when you're vulnerable and open and honest, honesty is a big thing with your friends, and it's scary. Again, this is the thing about fear. It gives you a chance to build trust with them. If you call your friend and give them some news before they hear about it from someone else, it just gives you the opportunity to further build trust with them. Too many times I've heard big news about my friends, and it hasn't come directly from them. And then it's upset me because I want them to know that they can tell me about it. And it's hard to do. I mean, I've delivered some news to my friends, and I've been crying as I said it, but it just allows you to build another layer. And it was difficult. I was scared to do it, but I just ended up doing it. Most people know what they need to do, if you're anything like me at least. Yet it's difficult to go do it because there's just this feeling inside of you like the whole world might come crashing down. There's just so much uncertainty. That's really where the fear comes from, is because you don't know what's going to happen. It's also thrilling. Goddamn, is it scary. A lot of things that I need to do, but I just haven't done them. I like to tell people, like, the person you want to be, like, it's this pile of gold, right? And you can see it. You're just looking right at it. You can go grab a coin from it. But there's just this big dragon sitting on there. And that's the thing that'll stop you from getting there. So maybe you want to, ask out this woman, right? And you can see her. You could go up to her every single day and you can go ask her out. That's a pile of gold, right? But then there's the thought of she could say no. It could be weird. She could not like you. You could date, and then you could go on a date and go great, and then she could break up with you 2 years down the road. Like, there's all these things that go wrong, and that's the dragon there. And too many of us are sitting there staring at gold our whole lives, and we know what we need to do. And there's no sort of advice you'll get from someone that'll change your life. There's no sort of magic quote you hear. It's just the action of you and going and doing it that's going to change your life. And you could prep for it all you want, but at the end of the day, you just got to go do it. And I'll tell you what, I would rather be rejected than live my life in uncertainty of what could have been. And I think everyone knows what they need to do. I can think of a number of things that I need to do, and I'm avoiding it. But I'm going to actively make progress towards doing it. Go be you. Go kill your fucking dragon.